Take a seat.
Alright, without further ado, let me introduce you the panel. We have Yazid Osman, our VP Operations. He was in the thick of the action on December 23rd. So if you want to hear about it, hear it from the man. Then you have our Lauren Boland, Chairman. I'm sure you've seen his picture in the paper. Needs no introduction. We have Richard Barnes. Richard Barnes has been working with me on the press release. He's a consultant. And we have Rick McCollum, our Group Projects Director. He coordinates task force. First, Yazid, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Dear media friends, thank you for joining us today. We would like to share an account of the incident on the 23rd of December and address several of the key questions. First, a technical malfunction arising from a small electrical fire resulted in a stoppage of the wheel operations at about 5 p.m. on 23rd of December. Our technician, Sim and Salihin, managed to put out the fire very quickly, and we will honor them in an award ceremony for the company itself on later. 173 passengers in 21 capsules were affected when the incident occurred. According to our standard operating procedures, our protocol is to contact Police Licensing Unit, the licensing authority, our contractors Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, who built the wheel, TUV, and also Dive Marine in the event of any wheel stoppage. Since the incident itself, we have brought in Mr. Andrew Potter, an expert in the field of attraction management, the former general manager of the London Eye, who has also worked on Melbourne Southern Star. He is going through every single aspect of the standard operating procedures, and he will work with us on how to improve. Future SOPs are now being written, taking into account the new systems which is going to be implemented. On 23rd December, we acted according to the standard operating procedures. Our technical teams were immediately deployed to identify and rectify the problem. The top priority was always to repair the wheel, which was done by Mitsubishi under their maintenance contract, and return the capsule to ground level. We've engaged Dive Marine, who are professionals trained in rope access, to provide supplies to the capsules. It was eventually decided to start evacuating only those people who wish to be lowered down by ropes at the lower capsules. The wheel restarted very soon, and all passengers were brought safely to the ground that night. Thank you.
And now we have our chairman, Mr. Florian Boland. Thank you, Yazid.
Thank you very much, Yazid, for this account of what happened. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for your numerous attendance. I hope my voice travels. Doesn't? I have too much stuff in my hand, if I know also. Need to take a microphone, but maybe it's better. Let me drop this one here first. In addition to analyzing over the last 2 weeks what happened on the incident of the 23rd, we established a panel of international experts who have, most of them have experience in the two other major observation wheels which are in this world. The one is the London Eye, where Richard Barnes has been very, very much involved with over the past 8 years. The other one is the Southern Star in Melbourne, which just opened actually December last year, where Richard also had a trip to and was able to conclude on certain things which would help us to move forward after this incident and make sure that all possible measures are being taken to ensure in the future the safety and the comfort of our guests. The results of these 2 weeks of very intense work can be summarized as possible, as follows. The most important learning which we received from the incident of the 23rd and in these studies over the last 2 weeks is that it is paramount that we're able to move the wheel at any point in time. And by moving the wheel, we are capable of bringing our passengers safely back to Earth. This should be done in a safe, fast, and actually also comfortable way. And this is what we try to ensure, and we analyzed different methods and technical means to ensure this capability of the wheel to move at any point in time. At the moment, what we have at our wheel is a primary drive system which allows us to move the wheel under normal conditions. It's a very sophisticated system which allows us to vary speed, has very nice smooth braking features. Most of the time when you're on the wheel and we brake, for example, for a wheelchair person or something like this, you wouldn't even realize it. This very sophisticated system is supported by some redundancy. In case that something goes wrong within the system, the redundancy should take over and should allow a seamless, continuous movement of the wheel to bring passengers down. As we have learned in the incident of the 23rd of December, this original system sometimes does go wrong, and it goes wrong to an effect that we're not capable of actually also using then the redundancy to continue to move the wheel. In order to have a solution for this kind of situation in the future, we are going to implement a secondary drive system, which is a true backup system. Now, what is important for a true backup system is it has to be completely independent from the original drive system with regards to power supply and controls, and it should be, as it is in our case, in a completely separate location of the wheel. This allows that even if, for example, a fire would damage the primary system, to rather quickly switch to the secondary drive system, its independent power supplies, and continue to drive the wheel and bring the guests down. The idea is that this switch can be done quickly and swiftly, and that the passengers would continue to enjoy their flight with us, just as if they were driven by the primary system, without really realizing that they are moved by a separate system. Now, in order to be very, very sure that even if the secondary system should also fail, so now we're talking about a situation where the primary system fails, the redundancy in the primary system doesn't work, for whatever reason also, and that's a very, very unlikely situation, the secondary system then fails, we came up with something which we called a third system, which is a winch system. Some experts say that's probably close to creating some kind of overkill, but I think it is our responsibility to ensure the safety of the passengers at any point in time, and therefore we are installing this winch system. Unfortunately, it just falls off the sheet here, but it is a winching system which allows us to continue operations of the wheel with one very simple and very reliable power supply, so to speak. The power which is going to continue to move this system or to move the wheel is actually gravity. What we're going to do is, in case that all these other drive systems fail, is we're going to start to release the brakes through a special, again, separately powered brake release system, which then will in most instances make the wheel to start turning. Because most of the time the wheel is imbalanced and will start to turn into one direction. We can control the speed of this turning by applying the brakes, and so we can make sure that we very easily can unload our passengers as we're going. Why do we need winches then? We have one instance where gravity doesn't work for us. This is when the wheel is completely balanced. So in case that the wheel would be completely balanced, we release the brakes, the wheel doesn't start turning, we will have two winches here on the drive platform which allow us to pull the wheel. And as we start to pull the wheel, we can disembark passengers, and as we do this, the wheel becomes imbalanced and then will continue to rotate by itself, again controlled slowly and nicely controlled by our brakes. The good thing about this system, which is only the last resort, is it has two advantages. On the one side, it relies on a power supply which cannot be turned off, gravity, which is always there, and it's very stable. And in addition to that, because we have two winches, one on each side of the wheel, we actually have another 100% redundancy built into the system. So as a conclusion, we have now a situation where if the primary system should fail, rather than, as it was last time the case, trying to repair the primary system and trying to fix it again, our operational menus and our staff can now very swiftly switch to the next system, continue to the wheel moving, get people out. If this next system should also fail, we then can again swiftly switch to this last resort system and just continue to rotate the wheel and get people out of the wheel in a very short time frame. This will ensure that most of the time, even if we have a failure somewhere in the systems, most people wouldn't even realize that we're switching from one system to the other to continue to bring them out. And even in the worst possible scenario, we should always be able to get everybody safely and comfortably out of the wheel within a limited time frame. In addition to these technical changes which we're doing, we have adapted all our procedures to ensure that obviously these different mechanisms are properly trained and properly executed by our staff at the wheel. And this should again increase the reaction time and the comfort with which we can operate this. In addition to that, we have improved our services towards our guests in case of a prolonged stay. We are going to introduce emergency kits within the capsules which should provide for all the necessary needs if there's a stay in the capsule. And in addition to that, we have improved on the communication measures so that in case that there are any questions, everybody will be able to be fully informed at any point in time about the status and what is going on within the wheel.
Take a seat.